Good evening. Once again, we return to the story of Caius, Spellsword, Dunmer, Eternal Champion, former agent of the Emperor, current head of the Blades in Vardenfell, and just back after a bit of looting, when I should probably instead have been focusing on achieving a few of my goals. Now, before I go too much further, it's very clear that heading back to, I believe it's called Sheogorad, is going to involve quite a bit of transport. And then it's clear I have some alchemy to do as well. So I suppose the first question is, what can I afford to drop? I don't think the Silver Staff of War is, I don't think that's something I need. Maybe it's something I was going to sell. Yes, it was. Alright. I'm definitely carrying too many of these amulets and such. Alright, well, in terms of keepers, I'm not going to use these right away, but they'll be helpful. Alright, so definitely some of these are getting sold off. I'll probably need to consider my potions and scrolls. And there's certainly a number of books. Ah, yes. Now I remember. Obviously, we still have quite a bit of weight, but there's at least some small improvement in my circumstances. Now, I don't recall if we have a dance in the fire. I feel like that's something we might have, but yes, we do. So I think it's fair to say what I'm carrying is for sale. Then this is going to be a little tricky. Oh, no, I still have the weight. Excellent. I know it's not anybody's idea of excitement, but I am going to get some alchemy done. And you know what? I think I'm just going to accept the vampire dust is not going to get used. So as always, anything I can do to restore magicka is a priority. Oop. And then after that, Gumberry goes away because I do need some kind of reagent for for Magicka. I certainly could afford to cast quite a bit more given the number of Restore Magicka spells I have. Or potions I have, rather. We'll consider that when the time comes. I don't think anything else should restore Magicka, but I definitely picked up some extra stuff that I haven't seen in a while. Oh, there we go, Void Salts. Alright. I also tend to take the Stone Flower and Heather and anything else to boost my persuasion, although that's less of a priority moving forward. Oh, no, that's Restore Personality. There was definitely one for Fortify Personality that was easy to pick up. Or, well, the Stone Flower's an easy one to pick up, but... Oh yeah, Crush Fiber, that's it. I don't think there's anything else, but let's just double check. For the, obviously for the series, this is always going to be the full experience, unless a crash or something completely destroys the record. It does have a nice side effect for the vodcast, in that it gives people a chance to come in, but I appreciate for the YouTube group, this can be a little tedious to start off with. I'm gonna try and find some of the low-cost fatigue. You know what? I'm gonna wait on the egg. Let's try and deal with some of the other. So Ghoulheart, Paralyze ideally. And then again, anything with a limited number of effects, excluding the egg. Pretty sure Racer Plumes we'll always have a surplus of, and I won't have anything else. So let's start with Drain. Alright, that works. Again, it probably makes more sense to sell that rather than make potions, but... And of course the aim has always been to try and make as many poisons as possible, because there's no mistaking them for something I want to keep. And given how much nonsense I keep in my bags, it's a fairly high priority. Alright. Now if memory serves, Houndmeat can sometimes restore and fortify fatigue. There we go. These are a match made in heaven. but now I'm going to take a look at anything I can make a poison from with that I have a large amount of, so bone meal. It's actually been a rather good run for this. Oh, perfect. Alright, I think we're stuck with the Black Hat there, but let's see. Agility or endurance? Nope. Alright, we're making a little bit better progress than I thought. Guess it's the gold cannon now. Health or luck? Alright, and looks like we don't have any drain intelligence either. So I think it's safe to say any poisons are off the table. So, unless I can paralyze. Nope. Let's get rid of the Quama eggs then. That was easy. Now we just focus on whatever we can, so telekinesis or agility. I read that completely wrong. was actually useful to me. I also should have taken a look for restore health, because there's a couple that are sneaking around. All right. There might be something waiting there for me, but I'm not willing to take the time to look for it. I think that's a reasonable enough little run. Alright. I think we are ready to sell our wares. Oh, you know what? Maybe I was gonna rest. It's 6 in the morning. It's too early. So I'll at least sell what I need. And of course, we still need to make our way back to Sheogorad, but
Yes, Outlander. What do you want?
I'll sort of take it one step at a time. So I'm gonna see how many weapons I can sell. The mage's guild, ideally, will use some for potions. Drat. They're not gonna take any of that. Alright.
Well, I find myself in...
Might have more luck selling it in Alderun, but we'll see what I can get done.
This is a wondrous encounter. Welcome.
Alright, this is encouraging. Yeah, worth a shot. I don't think they'll take potions now. was just wondering if maybe there were, yeah, there's nothing for me here. Alright.
How delightful. Welcome.
Warmly greeted, friend. Welcome. Over there. That's no. Sweet skooma.
Speaking of, do I have any? I'm going to assume no, but... Alright.
Well, I find myself in pleasant company.
In this case, I'm going to go directly to the, alchemist. They have a bit more money, so I might be able to clear it out. To be honest, I didn't even think to check up here back when we were first trying to build up some wealth.
I see this land suits you.
Greetings.
Welcome you freely.
What exactly do you require of me?
Now, I mean, if I really wanted, I could try and do some trading for materials as well, but there isn't quite the same urgency to do that because I don't gain any more points for alchemy. I'm already at the top level, so this is really just to try and get as much of the wealth here as possible. Just not easier said than done, although if I needed, I could always take, rubies and whatnot. So of course, here's where we see that the poison is the best approach, just because it's so easy to stack up and see where you're at. The rest of these, I need to start, do I really want exclusive potion of jump? Probably not, but now I actually need to think. Tidy profit.
I've got a few minutes if you need some.
Greetings, citizen. I'm Clagus Clander. Welcome to Balmora. We're a House Hlalu town and loyal citizens of the Empire. What can I do for you?
Buy my stuff. Yeah, it was worth a try. Oh, that's that. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is, I'm still sitting on a lot of weight. So what I think I'm gonna do. Some of these I'm not quite willing to sell yet. But I don't necessarily need them on my adventures. Kind of want to hang on to these. It's not perfect, but it'll get me by. Now, I do want to get back to Sheogorad, and I was taking a look at the map.
Is there something you need?
So, Cool seems to be sort of the closest to, all of these. So I'm gonna see whether or not going to Cool will,
Yes, Outlander. What
get me a boat right there. I'd really rather not have to swim it.
How wonderful. Welcome, Outlander.
Oh, greetings. How do you do? Maybe talk.
I am Aiseline Marion, the Breton Guild Guide. I provide instantaneous transport between various Mages Guild halls on Vardenfell. What is your destination? I can also help with local information. Do you need services? Are you looking for some specific place, or for someone in particular?
So I don't recall if Alderaan gets us to Cool, but at least it's close enough. I suppose here I can also try and sell a few of my scrolls.
Is there something I can do for you? Is there something you need?
Alright, that's promising. I can see why I kept so many of these. They're all summons. quite as dramatic as I was thinking it would be, but
Such an honor to meet you.
What do you think of our city, Outlander?
What was that about?
How about sharing the wealth?
so we'll see what the Salt Strider gives me in terms of a trip to Cool.
Friend, how does the day greet you?
It's still gonna be a while before I get your ring.
Good day, Outlander. I'm the Caravaneer of Alderun. Planning a journey? What's your destination? My Silt Strider can carry you from Alderun to Balmora, Nisus, Cool, or Margan.
Alright. I suppose after talking to these guys enough times, some of it sinks in.
Why walk when you can ride?
Now the big question is, who do I get to try and take me to Sheogorad? I'm assuming it would be anybody hanging out near a boat. I'm ready to go.
This is the fishing village of Cool. Can I help you? Is this the specific place you were looking for, or are you lost?
So I think Dagenfell is on Sheogorad, so Narmak I think is to the south. Yeah, so it's sort of in the middle of the mainland. And Dagenfell is not exactly where we were last time, but it's close. So I think it's probably better that I head towards Voss. Just so I can get it done in the order that I originally was going to. Although the ruins are practically right in front of me. So, if through just doing a natural walk I wind up at the ruins, I might as well take the opportunity. Otherwise, we will investigate the Drummer ruins on our way back. Especially because being able to take a boat directly back to Alderun would be helpful. So again, just a chance to practice a bit of spellcasting. So at this point, all of this is exploration of new areas, but I know I want to go west. Because that's where Voss is. Now, if memory serves, there's some rather tough enemies there, and a particularly fragile companion, so I need to be careful. But, I think that's just a story of being a little bit more frequent with the saves. It's not dawn, is it? Oh, no, it's just raining. All the more reason to get to Voss. That's just an egg mine. So it'd be interesting to see what's going on in there, but I don't really have any reason to go, rather than to get out of the rain. Getting what, whether I want to or not. So, I'm gonna do a slight detour away from Voss for a second just to get the last little bit of the map here examined, and then we'll double back. And it's not like I really want to spend more time out in the rain, but I did just have to swim, so might as well get the misery over with. Hello. So I know it's heavy and I'm going to wind up paying for it, but can't turn down powerful artifacts. for a grab. I'm fairly certain I've already been in here, but I'll take a quick peek. Yep. And I think it's very fair to say that there's nothing that I've hung on to, or nothing that I left back here, because I think I directly teleported. So unless there's something I just outright forgot. This is definitely not the way I came. Alright, so it's pretty clear that there's nothing left for me here, although I do kind of want to fill in the blanks on the map. Nothing too noteworthy. Ah, hello. Get a heal in as well. Hopefully my heaviest. Now this is really welcome if I've gotten rid of all of the weighted health. I think maybe at this point I should start selling fatigue potions that have weight. Well, it's a bit of weight that I got. Not enough. If I give up the 3 Daedra hearts, it's good, but you know what, this is actually a little easier than I thought it would be, because I have a pretty direct path. odd. So that's so little indulgent, obviously, to just loot and recall like this, but given that I have a relatively straightforward path to that area, and I know I'll be going directly to Vast straight after, it seemed to be a worthwhile little trip.
Today's your lucky day.
The likelihood of me selling all of the Daedric weapons that I have is pretty remote, but I'm a collector, what can I say? Now, if I was thinking I would have dropped off these, well, you know what, it's worth it. I'll go back and drop off the gems as well. A little premature.
You seem worthy of my number.
May I help
See
you?
this land. Go ahead, Outlander. I see this. What do you need?
Alright, right, I was gonna drop off my... Looks like I'm out of greater soul gems for now. Theoretically, I could pick these up again, but... So that adds another 9. That adds another 2. So it's hard for me to argue against bringing the petty soul gems. I will only take... These are probably going to sit unused, but... That's right, it's cheaper to go through the Mages Guild and then Salt Strider to cool.
I'm very happy to make your acquaintance.
An honor, to be sure.
Back to Aldrin, please. Now while I'm at it, I'll see if I can sell some of my weighted fatigue potions. Could have done that earlier, but yes, this is a perfect example. Not really any reason for me to be carrying so many of those restore fatigues, which are about half,
How about sharing the wealth? How may I help you, Dunmer?
they're half a unit of weight for each one, and generally I don't want to waste the time finding out which one is which.
Where would you like to go?
My eyes, the goggles do nothing. I don't know if it's my acrobatics or what, but it feels like jumping gives me a little bit more distance than just walking.
Yes, Outlander, what do you want?
Back to Dagonfell, please. Ah, never change. Dried off in the Salt Strider on my way here. So again, the priority is Voss right now. After that, we can focus on other areas. I'll admit I'm not accustomed to hearing that sound and it not being dead. We have to be getting close. I am mildly curious about this tower. Oh wait, no. I remember exactly what that is. Alright, now. Turns out that this individual's a bit fragile.
Are you here from the Fighters Guild? Shall we fight together against these foul necromancers? I'll fight by your side.
Let's try not to lose them.
You will die!
Please be careful.
I think here I'm gonna make a new branch just in case. It's a lot of bone meal. So it occurred to me that the ancestor ghosts are not necessarily our enemies. They're allies. Alright.
Welcome, friend. Are you the one I've heard talk about?
It occurred to me that might have been the strangeness that I encountered last time, so...
Are you here from the Fighters Guild? Shall we fight together against these foul necromancers?
yes.
I'll fight by your side. I serve the tribunal as a buoyant armiger. You must bring justice on these foul necromancer, on the foul necromancer Darius Adram here in Vass.
You will suffer greatly!
So I want to make sure I've cleared out what I need here. Should probably be turning around to make sure that everyone's still alive at this point.
What was I thinking?
This conversation has gone too long. Any conversation with you is too long. Excuse me, I don't talk with people who I don't like. Blasphemous revenants, not into the world nor out of it, but between worlds they linger, held to the hearth and tomb by blood and loyalty. And if they come unbidden from love of kin or faith to duty, it is not unholy. It is but the answering of the ancestors, the awakening of those who never sleep, the summoning to service of those bound through hearth and house to the protection of the clan. But if sorcerers bring them forth, then such summons is blasphemy, an abomination before the tribes and temple, a sin so great that ages of burning cannot cleanse the fault. Abide not the sorcerer among you, for he comes to steal the bones of your fathers and dust from your tombs. He seeks to bind by power what is yours by right, to drag forth the warm spirits from their world between and bind them into their service like slaves and beasts. Who can know the shame of the dead, the ceaseless weeping of the necromancer's thrall? Cruel enough is the ancestor's service given in love to the hearth and kin, but ghost or guardian, bone walker or bone lord, summoned by profane ritual and bound by force to the corpse miner's will, how may such a spirit ever find rest? How may it ever find its way back to its blood and clan? Only a righteous Dunmer, bound by blood to hearth and kin, bound by oath and service to the temple, can call upon the spirits of the Dunmer dead. Those foreign sorcerers and other races that invade our shores, shall they be permitted to rob our tombs, to bind our kin spirits into sorcerous slavery, to steal the lives of our dead as well as our land as our land of the living? No, I say, no and no 3 times more. Such necromancers must die, and their profane magics must die with them. And shall we tolerate the hidden hosts of the undead, the arrogant princes of necromancers, the ancient vampire demons who creep from their lairs in the west, seeking refuge in profane Daedric shrines, abandoned Dunmer strongholds and corrupted subterranean labyrinths of the detested Dwemer race? For ages the great houses and the temple have kept our land clean of the vampire's taint, but now these undead lords and their vile cattle have returned. These vampires must die, and their corrupt cattle with them, and their blood taint must forever be erased by fire and stake.
I'm fairly sure we read that before, but now we know for sure. So I suspect this is where it's going to get a little tough. It won't matter because, well, maybe it will. Yep, so the gem wasn't strong enough. So before I go further, let's clear out the top level. That's pretty suggestive. So I'll be sure to check that out later, but I want to make sure I do this in something of an orderly way. So I believe this is where we came from. I will admit I'm a little surprised that I've got some leftovers on that, but more chances to practice. I'm also a little surprised that the Daedra Lord didn't have a weapon I could pick up.
Die, Victor!
I wanted to make sure that my ally is actually alive before I save.
Die, Fetcher.
Necromancer Darius Andrim is dead, Caius. Thank you for your assistance. The battle would have been difficult without you. I will stay here and take care of a few details. Thank you again.
These aren't bad, but they're not the most exciting things I could be picking up right now. The books, of course, are another matter.
There's someone watching me. I can tell.
I think I have most of these, but it's not a bad chance for me to try and reorganize the library. It's going to be a little bit hard to manage the Dwemer expedition, but I think we'll be able to handle it.
Very happy to make your acquaintance.
So the ones I think I may not have read, definitely Ancestors in the Dunmer. Legions of the Dead I don't think I've read. Lives of the Saints we've read. Mysterious Akavir, maybe. I'm pretty sure we've read Mysticism. This we've got tons of. The Ruins of Zemelzi, or Kemelzi, I don't think we've read. And I'm not sure if we read Vampires of Ardenfell too.
Vampires of Ardenfell, Volume 2, Excerpts. In the West, a shadowy fraternity of vampire hunters is believed to be primarily composed of formerly afflicted vampires. But we'll read this still. Who have been cured of the disease. According to legend, the vampire hunters refuse to reveal the cure to the disease for fear that it may encourage depraved thrill seekers from deliberately infecting themselves. In the East, the Western tradition of vampire hunters is unknown. Vampirism is known to be incurable, and even if it were curable, a cured vampire would be an abomination to be destroyed. Since the disease is infallibly cured if treated within 3 days, failure to treat oneself after an encounter with a vampire would be considered a deliberate attempt to contract the disease and a mark of monstrous depravity. In temple doctrine, one ancient tradition holds that, among his many other crimes, Molag Bal, the father of monsters, spawned the first vampire upon the corpse of a defeated foe. Several different versions of the story exist, with the foe variously identified as a Daedra lord, a temple saint, or a powerful beast creature. This account of the origin of vampirism is peculiar to Morrowind, appearing nowhere else in Imperial lore. Unfortunately, scholarly inquiry on this topic is discouraged by the temple, which controls access to the only substantial collection of historical and cultural records in Morrowind. Though the Dunmer believe that the disease is incurable, a buoyant armiger of former years named Galur Rithari insisted that he was cured of vampirism. Initially imprisoned by the temple for heresy, he later recanted, was released, and served his final years as a librarian in the Hall of Wisdom in Vivec. It is interesting that previous to his imprisonment for heresy, Rithari had been posted to the buoyant armiger garrison at Bal-Ur, a pilgrimage site known as the birthplace of Molag Bal. The Ruins of Kemelzay by Rollard Nordson. With the acclamation of the Fellows of the Imperial Society still ringing in my ears, I decided to return to Morrowind immediately. It was not without some regret that I bade farewell to the fleshpots of the Imperial City.
So we may have read this as well.
But I knew that the wonders I had brought back from Raled Maki had only scratched the surface of the Dwemer ruins in Morrowind. Even more spectacular treasures were out there. I felt just waiting to be found, and I was eager to be off. I also had before me the salutary example of a poor bannerman who was still dining out on his single expedition to Black Marsh 20 years ago. That would never be me, I vowed. With my letter from the Empress in hand, this time I would have the full cooperation of Imperial authorities. No more need to worry about attacks from superstitious locals. But where should I go next? The ruins at Kemelzay were the obvious choice. Unlike Raled Maki, getting to the ruins would not be a problem. Also known as the Clift City, Kemelzay lies on the mainland side of the Vardenfell Rift, sprawling down the sheer coastal cliff. Travelers from the east coast of Vardenfell often visit the site by boat, and it can be reached overland from nearby villages without undue hardship. Once my expedition had assembled in Seyda Neen, with the usual tedious complications involved in operating in this half-civilized land, we set out for the village of Marog near the ruins, where we hoped to hire a party of diggers. My interpreter, Tuan Panai, an unusually jolly fellow for a dark elf who I had hired in Seyda Neen at the recommendation of the local garrison commander, assured me that the local villagers would be very familiar with Kemelzay, having looted the site for generations. Incidentally, Tenpenny, as we soon came to call him to his constant amusement, proved invaluable, and I would recommend him without hesitation to any of my colleagues who were planning similar expeditions to the wilds of Morrowind. At Marog, we ran into our first trouble. The hetman of the village, a reserved, elegant old fellow, seemed willing to cooperate, but the local priest, a representative of the absurd religion that they have here, worshipping something called the Tribunal, who they claim actually lives in palaces in Morrowind, was fervently against us excavating the ruins. He looked likely to sway the villagers to his side with his talk of religious taboos, but I waved the Empress's letter under his nose and mentioned something about my friend the garrison commander at Seyda Neen, and he quieted right down. No doubt this was just the standard negotiating tactic arranged among the villagers to increase their pay. In any event, once the priest had stalked off, muttering to himself, no doubt calling down curses upon the heads of the foreign devils, we soon had a line of villagers eager to sign on for the expedition. While my assistant was working out the mundane details of contracts, supplies, etc., Master Aram and I rode onto the ruins. By land, they can only be reached using narrow paths that wind down from the face of the cliff from above, where any misstep threatens to send one tumbling into the sea foaming about the jagged rocks below. The city's original entrance to the surface must have been in the part of the city to the northeast, the part that fell into the sea long ago when the eruption of Red Mountain created this mind-bogglingly vast crater. After successfully navigating the treacherous path, we found ourselves in a large chamber, open to the sky on one side, disappearing into the darkness on the other. As we stepped forward, our boots crunched on piles of broken metal, as common in dwarven ruins as potsherds in other ancient sites. This was obviously where the looters had brought their finds from deeper levels, stripping off the valuable outer casings of the dwarven mechanisms and leaving their innards here, easier than lugging the intact mechanisms back up to the top of the cliff. I laughed to myself, thinking that many warriors unwittingly walking around Tamriel with pieces of dwarven mechanisms on their backs. For that, of course, is what most dwarven armor really is, just the armored shells of the ancient mechanical men. I sobered when I thought how exceedingly valuable an intact mechanism would be. This place was obviously full of dwarven devices, judging from the litter covering the floor of this vast chamber, or it had been, I reminded myself. Looters had been working on this site for centuries. Just the casing alone would be worth a small fortune, sold as armor. Most dwarven armor is made of mismatched pieces from various devices, hence its reputation for being bulky and unwieldy. But a matched set from an intact mechanism is worth more than its weight in gold, for the pieces all fit together smoothly and the wearer hardly notices the bulk. Of course, I had no intention of destroying my finds for armor, no matter how valuable. I would bring it back to the Society for Scientific Study. I imagined the astonished cries of my colleagues as I unveiled it at my next lecture and smiled again. I picked up a discarded gear from the piles at my feet. It still gleamed brightly, as if new-made, the dwarven alloys resisting the corrosion of time. I wondered what secrets remained hidden in the maze of chambers that lay before me, defying the efforts of the looters, waiting to gleam again in the light that it had not seen in long eons. Waiting for me. It remained only to find them. With an impatient gesture to Master Aram to follow, I strode forward into the gloom. Master Aram, Tenpenny, and I spent several days exploring the ruins, while my assistants set up camp at the top of the cliff and hauled supplies and equipment from the village. I was looking for a promising area to begin excavation, a blocked passage or corridor untouched by looters that might lead to completely untouched areas of the ruins. We found 2 such areas early on, but soon discovered that the many winding passages bypassed the blockage and gave access to the rooms behind. Nevertheless, even these outer areas, for the most part stripped clean of artifacts by generations of looters, were full of interest to the professional archaeologist. Behind a massive bronze door, burst from its hinges by some ancient turmoil to the earth, we discovered a large chamber filled with exquisite wall carvings, which impressed even the jaded Tenpenny, who claimed to have explored every dwarven ruin in Morrowind. They seemed to depict an ancient ritual of some kind, with a long line of classically bearded dwarven elders processing down the side walls, all seemingly bowing to the giant form of a god carved into the front wall of the chamber, which was caught in the act of stepping forth from a crater of a mountain in a cloud of smoke or steam. According to Master Aram, there were no known depictions of dwarven religious rituals, so this was an exciting find indeed. I set a team to work prying the carved panels from the wall, but they were unable to even crack the surface. On closer examination, the chamber appeared to be faced with a metallic substance with the texture and feel of stone, impervious to any of our tools. I considered having Master Aram try his blasting magic on the walls, but decided that the risk of destroying the carvings was too great. Much as I would have preferred to bring them back to the Imperial City, I had to settle for taking rubbings of the carvings. If my colleagues in the society showed enough interest, I was sure that a specialist could be found, or perhaps a master alchemist who could find a way to safely remove the panels. I found another curious room at the top of a long winding stair, barely passable due to the fall of rubble from the roof. At the top of the stair was a domed chamber with a large ruined mechanism at its center. Painted constellations were still visible in some places on the surface of the dome. Master Aram and I agreed that this must have been some kind of observatory, and that the mechanism was therefore the remains of a dwarven telescope. To remove it from ruins down the narrow stairway would require its complete disassembly, which in fact no doubt had preserved it from the attention of the looters. So I decided to leave it in place for the time being. The existence of this observatory suggested, however, that this room had once been close to the surface, or had once been above the surface. Closer examination of the structure revealed that it was indeed a building, not an excavated chamber. The only other doorways from the room were completely blocked, and careful measurements from the top of the cliff to the entry room and then to the observatory revealed that we were still more than 250 feet below the present ground level, a sobering reminder of the forgotten fury of Red Mountain. This discovery led us to focus our attentions downward. Since we now knew approximately where the ancient surface lay, we could rule out many of the higher block passages. One wide passage, impressively flanked with carven pillars, particularly drew my interest. It ended in a massive rockfall, but we could see where looters had begun and then abandoned the tunnel through this debris. With my team of diggers and Master Aram's majory to assist, I believe we could succeed where our predecessors had failed. I therefore set my team of dark elves to work on clearing the passage, relieved finally to be beginning the real exploration of Kamalzeh. Soon, I hoped, my boots would be stirring up dust that had lain undisturbed since the dawn of time. With this exciting prospect before me, I may have driven my diggers a bit too hard. Tenpenny reported that they were beginning to grumble about the long days, and some were talking about quitting. Knowing from experience that nothing puts heart back into these dark elves like a taste of the lash, I had the ringleaders whipped and the rest confined into the ruins until they had finished clearing the passageway. Thanks Dendar for my foresight in requisitioning a few legionaries from Seda Neen. They were sullen at first, but with the promise of an extra day's wages when they broke through, they soon set to work with a will. While these measures may sound harsh to my readers back in the comforts of civilization, let me assure you that there is no other way to get these people to stick to a task. The blockage was much worse than I had first thought, and in the end it took almost 2 weeks to clear the passage. The diggers were as excited as I was when their picks finally broke through the far end to the emptiness, and we shared a round of the local liquor together, a foul concoction in truth, to show that all was forgiven. I could hardly restrain my eagerness when they enlarged the hole to allow entry into the chamber beyond. Would the passage lead to entirely new levels of the ancient city filled with artifacts left by the vanished dwarves? Or would it only be a dead end, some side passage leading nowhere? My excitement grew as I slid through the hole and crouched for a moment in the darkness beyond. From the echoing sounds of the stones rattling beneath my feet, I was in a large room, perhaps very large. I stepped carefully and unhooded my lantern. As the light flooded the chamber, I looked around in astonishment. Here were wonders beyond even my wildest dreams. As the light from my lamp filled the chamber beyond the rockfall, I looked around in astonishment. Everywhere was the warm glitter of dwarven alloys. I'd found an untouched section of the ancient city. My heart pounding with excitement, I looked around me. The room was vast, the roof soaring up into the darkness beyond the reach of my lamp, the far end lost to the shadows with only a tantalizing glimmer hinting at treasures not yet revealed. Along each wall stood rows of mechanical men, intact except for only one oddity. Their heads had been ritually removed and placed on the floor at their feet. This could mean only one thing. I had discovered the tomb of a great dwarven noble, maybe even a king. Burials of this type had been discovered before, most famously by Ransom's expedition to Hammerfell, but no completely intact tomb had ever been found, until now. But if this was truly a royal burial, where was the tomb? I stepped forward gingerly, the rows of headless bodies standing silently as they had for eons, their disembodied eyes seeming to watch me as I passed. I had heard wild tales of the curse of the dwarves, but had always laughed it off as superstition. But now, breathing the same air as the mysterious builders of this city, which had lain undisturbed since the cataclysm that spelled their doom, I felt a twinge of fear. There was some power here, I felt, something malevolent that resented my presence. I stopped for a moment and listened. All was silent. Except, it seemed, I heard a faint hiss, regular as breathing. I fought down the sudden surge of panic. I was unarmed, not thinking of danger in my haste to explore past the blocked passage. Sweat dripped down my face as I scanned the gloom for a moment. The room was warm. I suddenly noticed much warmer than the rest of the labyrinth thus far. My excitement returned. Could I have found a section of the city still connected to a functioning steam grid? Pipes ran along the walls, as in all sections of the city. I walked over and placed my hand on one. It was hot, almost too hot to touch. Now I saw that in places where the ancient piping had corroded, small jets of steam were escaping. The sound that I had heard, I laughed at my own credulity. I now advanced quickly to the far end of the room, giving a cheerful salute to the ranks of mechanical soldiers who appeared so menacing only moments before. I smiled with triumph as the light swept back the darkness of centuries to reveal a giant effigy of a dwarven king standing on a raised dais, his metal hand clutching his rod of office. This was the prize indeed. I circled the dais slowly, admiring the craftsmanship of the ancient dwarves. The Golden King stood 20 feet tall under a freestanding domed cupola, his long unswept beard jutting forward proudly as his glittering metal eyes seemed to follow me. But my superstitious mood had passed, and I gazed benevolently on the old dwarven king. My king, as I had already begun to think of him. I stepped onto the dais to get a better look at his sculpted armor. Suddenly the eyes of the figure opened, and it raised a mailed fist to strike. I leaped to one side as the golden arm came crashing down, striking sparks from the steps where I had stood a moment before. With a hiss of steam and a whir of gears, this giant figure stepped ponderously out from under its canopy and strode towards me with frightening speed, its eyes tracking me as I scrambled backwards. I dodged behind a pillar as the fist whistled down again. I dropped my lantern in the confusion, and now I crept into the darkness outside the pool of light, hoping to slip between the headless mechanisms and thus escape to the safety of the passageway. Where had the monster gone? You'd think that a 20-foot golden kind would be hard to miss, but he was nowhere to be seen. The guttering lamp only illuminated a small part of the room. He could be hiding anywhere in the gloom. I crawled faster. Without warning, the dim ranks of dwarven soldiers in front of me went flying as the monstrous guardian loomed before me. He had cut off my escape. As I dodged backwards, blow after blow whistled down as the implacable machine followed me relentlessly, driving me into the far corner of the room. At last there was nowhere left for me to go. My back was to the wall. I glared up at my foe, determined to die on my feet. The huge fists lifted for one final blow. The room blazed with sudden light. Bolts of purple energy crackled across the metal carapace of the dwarven monster, and it halted, half turning to meet this new threat. Master Aram had come. I was about to raise a cheer when the giant figure turned back to me, unharmed by the lightning bolt hurled by Master Aram, determined to destroy this first intruder. I shouted out, "Steam! Steam!" as the giant raised its fist to crush me into the floor. There was a hiss and gust of bitter cold, and I looked up. The monster was now covered with a shell of ice, frozen in the very moment of dispatching me. Master Aram had understood, and I leaned against the wall with relief. The ice cracked above me. The giant golden king stood before me, the shell of ice falling away, his head swiveling towards me in triumph. Was there no stopping this dwarven monstrosity? But then the light faded from his eyes. His arms dropped to his sides. The magical frost had worked, cooling down its steam-driven energy. And Master Aram and the diggers crowded around me. Congratulating me on my narrow escape, my thoughts drifted. I imagined my return to the Imperial City, and I knew that this would be my greatest triumph yet. How could I possibly top this find? Perhaps it was time to move on. Recovering the favored eye of Argonia, now that would be a coup. I smiled to myself, reveling in the glory of my moment, but already planning my next adventure.
So I may need to read Legions of the Dead, but we'll save that for another time. Alright, so we want to go to Zuleft Ruin. And that should be for a Mage's Guild. Didn't see this boat before, I'm a little curious. Really doesn't want me to get on there, alright. I don't think I need the bucket. Alright, fine. There's no point in hoarding all these levitate potions if I'm not going to use them.
Imperial bedding supplies invoice for immediate delivery to Durain Themlas of Balmora in Vardenfell. 40 pillows shipped 8th day of Morningstar, 3rd era, 426.
Do I really want to take all these pillows? Yes. So the dilemma here is that Sanctus Shrine might have been interesting to visit, but given that I'm running into weight problems, I might have to skip it. Sorry, I just need a minute to check on something. Alright. say I want to trust my judgment on this one, but I also know that I went on some pretty steep walkways. Alright, I think I should be able to get to the ruins from here. I do have a couple of ideas about how I can deal with my weight problems. But we'll see how things go before I'll actually run into the problem before I try to solve it. I'm not quite ready to draw on that. I really probably shouldn't be getting these minor materials at this rate, but one intermediate thing I could try and do is sell some of what I have in the village. Problem is I'm not 100% sure. Like my books I know I'm gonna hang on to for a while. Alright, well, this gives me a couple things to work with. So this would all be great, obviously. Well, I mean, I do have the option of looting everything and then heading home. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. I always hate it when there's that one unit. Oh, here we go. That solves that. Alright, this is gonna take a while. No, I should probably sell off some of the stuff that I have already. Well, there's really no easy way to do this. First of all, what time is it? 4 a.m. There's just one fairly reliable way of lightening the load, and that's alchemy. I think in this case, maybe I'll sell the wax. Well, wait, it's worth 100. I think my potions are worth more than that. Alright, that's not a bad start on some of the poisons, so I think I'm going to do the same thing as before. Whatever I have the largest amount of negative effect for. Let's see if I've got anything for agility and endurance. Okay, I think at this point, unless I have some kind of a, yeah, I should take a look at Paralyze first. Alright, now this is really just a matter of trying to get as many... Oh, well, telekinesis is going to be a piece of cake. Unless I have a levitate, I think it's safe to say the feathers can go away. Alright, so intelligence, strength. I think the Asham is just going to be something that I hang on to forever. Resist fire and light. Right, I'll just say that the rest we can't do. Again, there's always a small chance that I misread, but alright, I've got a big job with the books in mind, but before I do that, try and make life a little easier for me to get rid of at least some of this. want to see whether or not I can find see if I can find Uraine Thomas at all. The other thing that I'm looking to do is obviously sell as much as I can to the Fighters Guild.
May you find me worthy. Yes, Outlander. What do you want?
You seem worthy of my number.
Is there something you
Well, I find myself in pleasant company. Please share your thoughts.
Well, we're already past it.
Well met, friend.
May I help you?
Do you want something?
At this point, let's make the most of the fortified personality. Straightforward. Alright, so now I need to see if I can find just trying to think where I might find this person. Alright, well, I'm gonna take a quick trip.
So what did Durbil Grorush say? Ah, that's good news. Your stronghold should be ready soon. Thank you for keeping me up to date.
At this point, with my extra personality, I might as well stop by some of the outfitters. Actually, in particular, the armorer. I don't always get a chance to sell stuff to the armorer. I'm kind of leaving a lot on the table, but that's fine. At this point, I'm just trying to lighten the load. So that's a non-starter. Worth a try.
Let's set aside our right.
Revere knows why you are here. You want to buy Revere's famous Daedric weapons.
Or sell him Caius's famous Daedric potions. So these ones I'm willing to hang on to for a little bit. Definitely any heavy or restored fatigue that doesn't give me anything else. I think those are due for sale at this point. So I think at this point I'm able to pick up and carry around some of my other weapons.
I feel I can truly share.
Blessed we are.
May you find me welcome worthy. I feel as though I should know you.
Before I go too crazy with this, realistically, what am I looking at here? Both of these are actually quite affordable. Gonna set them aside for now, just because I know there's not going to be any wait for them. This one's a little harder to tell. But before I go any further, let's try and find the owner of these pillows.
Greetings, citizen. I'm Dariane Thelis. Welcome to Balmora. We're a house Lalu town. We're loyal citizens of the Empire. What can I do for you? Bakola Closius is the owner and proprietor of South Wall, a working-class Balmora corner club east of the Odai River.
And what do you do?
I'm a commoner. I do whatever needs doing. Cooking, cleaning, building, baking, making, breaking, and by your accent I can tell that you are an outlander. Since you're new to these parts, perhaps you'd like me to share a little local lore.
Zachary trying to figure out what's going on with these pillows that you seem to want. Yet she's crazy about the pillows. This is fascinating. I am a little nervous about this. Sorry, I just need a minute to refresh my water. I'm trying to see if there's anything I can do to actually trigger the mention of it. I don't think Imperial Bedding Supplies gives me anything. Says the Realm Balmora shipped on Morningstar 3rd Era. I mean, if they were the owner of some kind of a I'm just trying to think. So, I should probably say out loud. So the threads that I've got for this Imperial Bedding Supplies, Dararain, Thelis, pillows, and the shipment date. It's probably better that I actually do this in the house with her. I don't know why I'm clicking on some of these, but Well, only other thing I could think of right now is look at the invoice. That doesn't change anything. So there you go.
Please, go ahead, Outlander. I'm listening.
Alright, now this is, it's gonna be a little tedious, but it's actually something I'd like to do just, to refresh every once in a while. Ah! So part of this is just to identify duplicates, but also so I can do alphabetical order again. And then obviously the lessons of Ivek are not something I want to be messing around with, so here we go. So first thing is any parts, those have to go separate. And I think as much as it pains me to do so, I think I am going to keep the open books in their own pile. That is not even close to what I need. You know what, I'll just make do with what I got. So this is the sail pile. Wait, that's multi-part. It's been a while since I've read some of these, so it's hard to remember. Alright, here I might need to drop the weapons. There we go.
Legions of the Dead. Undead commonly occur in three basic types: spirit, flesh, and fleshless. Spirit revenants like the Ancestor Ghost, Wraith, and Dwarven Ghost can only be harmed by weapons that are enchanted or made of refined substances such as silver. Ancestor Ghosts, the most common spirit revenant, are harmless apart from the minor curses which they lay upon their victims. Wraiths are similar to ghosts, but they are capable of inflicting wounds to the careless explorer. Dwarven Ghosts are more dangerous still, but they generally only appear in Dwarven ruins. Flesh Revenants, or zombies as they are often called in the West, are known as Bone Walkers in Morrowind. Magic preserves the Bone Walker's fleshy remains, along with the bones and spirit. Bone Walkers are readily identified by the sharp protuberances of bone and metal employed in the rituals that bind them to this plane. All Bone Walkers are malevolent and dangerous, but the greater Bone Walkers are far worse than the more common lesser Bone Walkers. Thankfully, normal weapons harm Bone Walkers. It's difficult to generalize about fleshless revenants or skeletons. Their agility and fighting ability of the animated remains may depend on the abilities of the revenant's former life, and may therefore be weak or strong, or more or less capable with weapons and shields. Fortunately, enchanted weapons are not needed to destroy skeletons. An exception is the Bone Lord, a peculiar form of revenant that seems to derive its powers more from its spirit energies than from the substance of its skeletal remains. Bone Lords are very powerful and very dangerous. Normal weapons do not seem to affect them. Vampires were believed to be extinct in Morrowind for centuries. Dunmer culture has a special hatred for vampires, and in earlier times the Ordinators and Buoyant Armigers hunted them to extinction. In recent years, however, vampires have either begun to sneak into Morrowind, or long-dormant ones have been awakened. Vampires vary in their substance and power according to their age and accumulated lore, but even the weakest vampire is immeasurably stronger than most other undead. Note, ash vampires are not vampires and are not undead. Ash vampires are extremely dangerous. While their spirit and substance may indeed be preserved by some magical process, the holy warriors of the Tribunal Temple report that spell effects known to affect the undead have no effect on ash vampires.
Alright, so it's the numbered books. And I think that's it. I'm gonna go slightly different on this one and try and keep them as units. Actually, that doesn't make sense. I'll just... Alright, fair little bit of spring cleaning there. So I'll sell off these books, and I think I will be ready for one last trip to Sheogorad.
Is there something I can do for you? Welcome, a warm welcome to you.
Oh, stereo. Up, 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 up. Now I am slightly curious of the Vampires of Vardenfell. I didn't actually have a copy of that, it looks like, so...
Ah, yes.
Yes, Outlander. What do you want?
What do you think of Balmora?
Vampires of Ardenfell, Volume 1. The violent antipathy of Morrowind culture towards necromancy ensures that vampires are virtually unknown in Morrowind. The Temple does not acknowledge the existence of Western vampire hunting orders. Nonetheless, interviews with Temple officials persuade me that the Dunmer of Morrowind are experienced and knowledgeable in the handling of these menaces. On the other hand, they freely admit that even a large community of vampires might easily escape detection in the remote wastelands or in the subterranean labyrinths of abandoned strongholds and wizard towers. The Ash Vampire of Ashlander legend is not undead. Sorceries and blessings affecting the undead reportedly have no effect on these creatures. No specimen has ever been examined, and no references have ever linked these legends with the known clans of Tamrielic vampires. Vardenfell's three known bloodlines differ greatly in their approach to prey. The Korra bloodline features exceptional strength and endurance, and attacks in a state of ecstatic frenzy. Undead vampires are potent spellcasters seeking to hypnotize victims before feeding, while the swift and agile Burn Clan vampires prefer stealth and ambush, first poisoning the victim with a bite, and then withdrawing to a safe distance, returning to feed only when the prey has weakened. It is supposed that vampirism is contracted from wounds received from a vampire. Since few victims survive vampiric attacks or feedings, the process of contracting the disease is little understood. Some have suggested that victims may willingly submit themselves to the will of a vampire, but no real evidence of this exists. During the incubation phase, lasting up to 72 hours, the vampirism disease exhibits no symptoms, and may be cured by general spellcraft or cult blessings. However, during incubation, some of the victims have reported sleep disturbances and troubling dreams. After symptoms are exhibited, however, the disease is incurable and irreversible.
Also irresistible. Alright, I think we are ready to take our last trip to Sheogorad.
Yes.
Today's your lucky day.
What do you want? Welcome, friends. I feel as though I should.
One of the few times I've escaped the rain, it looks like.
An honor, to be sure. Welcome, friend. The day is yours.
Alderoon,
What
please.
shall we talk about?
How about tidings and good wishes to you?
Certainly know how to pick the right climates.
We make a special trip just for you. Say no, brother.
You've got the better of me. So go ahead.
That's kind of you to say, but I'm really just here for the Dwemer ruins.
Today is your lucky day.
Today's
So
your
let's hear it.
lucky day.
I'll admit I am a little surprised about the padding. That's promising. See lots of ruins, but no entrances. Ah. Trying to look for the heavy restore fatigue. Apparently the enemies I've been going up against have been, I don't know, something I need a stronger gem for. Scarab plans were pretty straightforward. Seeing as I'm here, I'm still gonna kick around and see what I can find, but
Will die here.
thought you were friendly.
Our blood is made for fighting. You think me a fool, guard.
The Egg of Time.
Gotta be careful on the weight on some of this. I'll come back to that. Probably gonna have to drop off some of the scrap metal, but
I will kill you.
yeah, this is gonna be a so that's a start. Scrap metal's just too heavy to be worth it. Suffice to say, I was a little surprised, but missing something.
Great honor.
Alright, I think that is it. So at this point I want to head back to Alderun. Actually, probably for both, for turning it in. Trying to decide if recalling back to Balmora is the best bet in this case. I don't think so. The boat ride and the Siltstrider ride let me renew my my magicka so I can cast more stuff. I just gave up, apparently. Oh, I think I know what happened. This probably wore off. I think I just went in a big circle. This is unexpected. Oh, but if it's part of the city, yeah, okay, that makes a little more sense.
Seen any
Welcome.
elves?
Welcome to Dagenfell, Caius. I'm Meta. We're country folk here, Caius. We don't stand on ceremony, so just go ahead. Ask your question.
What kind of services are there here?
Frinhild is a trader. Hotra, the peacock, also the end of the world, is a pawnbroker. He buys and sells many things. We don't have a smith or a healer.
Pawnbroker works for me. Once again, please, who was that?
What makes this smell?
I'm just fine, stranger. I'm Sonia, the clerk, and this is Dagenfell. I guess you want to ask me some questions, like where do you get services in a town this small? Good question.
Well, let's see what you'll trade. Well. I've seen all I really need to. This might give me a little bit more. Yeah, well, that's none.
Don't believe I've seen a dark elf in such a grand outfit in some time. Can I help you?
Just let me get my bargaining shoes on. 500, so keep my expectations low.
Today's your lucky day.
Ah! I don't think I saved a while ago.
You die.
That's not too bad, but
You die.
so again, I'm still going to focus on buying and selling if I can. I will, of course, be a little more careful with my save. I think just because of the cash, I will, keep forgetting that gives me practice. I'm really just doing it to try and improve the speed. I think I'll use the C save just in case something, tough happens.
I take it you want some.
Keep moving.
I completely forgot what the trade was. 50, I don't think it's worth it.
I take it you want something, well...
What's this all about?
Yes, Outlander. What do you...
Given that we know the Silt Strider's gonna give me a little extra recovery. Alderin, please.
Do you have any new information on the situation in Vass? You should speak to Eileen Hennim. Eileen Hennim gave a very positive report, Kais. Since this has helped our reputation with the buoyant armigers, I've decided to share the contract reward money with you. Take these 500 septims.
Can we talk about advancement yet?
The Fighters Guild recognizes you, Kais. You are now Kais the Guardian.
What about further advancement?
Can't advance you anymore, Guardian. For further advancement, you'll have to talk to Soaring Hardheart himself in Vivek.
Guess there's no duties then, huh?
The Fighters Guild often enacts justice when there is no one else who can do so. I just received a contract straight from Cyrodiil. I need someone to find the murderer, an outlaw, Nerer Benren. Nerer Benren was a member of House Redoran. He is now the leader of an outlaw band in Sargon, which is north of Margarn. Find Nerer Benren and bring him to justice.
Thank you.
How may I... How about sharing the wealth? I've lots to show you.
Did you find any plans or blueprints in Musleft? Well, have you found them? Yes, it's exactly what I've been looking for. Excellent work, Master Wizard.
Can we talk about advancement yet?
You meet our requirements, Caius, but you have not yet completed the duties expected of an Archmage.
And what are those?
I have heard that miners in the Nisus egg mine broke into the ruins of Bethamez. Officially, the Nisus egg mine was closed because of blight, but I heard the miners broke into the lost Dwemer ruin of Bethamez. I've also heard that they found Dwemer plans similar to the blueprints that you brought here before, so go to Nisus egg mine and bring back any plans or blueprints that you find.
Welcome, friend. What shall we talk about?
Alright. think I'll have to sort these out later. I think a recall makes the most sense here. And I think before I go any further, I suppose I can pick these up and see. Yeah, I'm still overweight.
You've ascended to level 35. The results of hard work and dedication always look like luck to saps, but you know that you've earned every ounce of your success.
So obviously there's lots of agility, personality. And then I suppose the question is, do I want to boost my speed or my endurance? I'll do endurance here. And on that note, I think we've come to the end of this evening's episode. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.